Hi there, I'm Magna FM and welcome to the Aston Villa rebuild. Now, the concept of a rebuild is you take a club and you try and make significant progress happen, whether that be winning trophies, a few promotions, whatever. And today I'm doing one with Aston Villa, and the goal is, within 5 years of managing Aston Villa, to either win a Premier League or a Champions League. It's the same as what we did at Everton, because I feel like they're about the same level of club. Anyway, with all that said, let's look at my first window's transfers. Let's look at the first window of transfers. Okay, so my transfers in, first of all, William Barros. Not 100% sure, but if you look at him here, he's good at doing what he does. He's a tough tackling DM. Surprisingly not too strong, but very hard working, good stamina, good positioning, good marking, a tough tackler. He's going to sit at the base of our midfield and just sweep everything up. The next signing in was just a loan where we'd have to pay 35k a week. I don't think there's a loan fee. Tom Davies. It'll be an okay box-to-box midfielder because of the stamina and work rate. He's not really good at anything. He's an okay tackler, but he's good enough to be an extra midfielder in there if we need him. Next up, our most expensive signing at 22 million. Mazoral. Not 100% sure on how you say it, but a right back / anything you want really. He's a right back, he can also play left back, he can play DM, he can play centre mid, he can play right wing. So although he was quite expensive, him being fairly good at anything, him being fairly good at everything, and being very versatile, I think he's worth it. And then the final signing, Adnan Januzaj. A very talented dribbler, got quite good corners, got good vision as well. Hopefully he can make a difference. He was only 5 million. So I think that's a pretty good deal. Only 5 million for Januzaj. Now moving on to the sales. There's only actually been 2. Because the transfers I've done. I loaned out Jacob Ramsey. I sold El Ghazi on deadline day. If you look here, the 31st. And I loaned out Marvelous Nakamba, but it's mandatory to buy at about 3 million. But El Ghazi, I was just struggling to shift all summer. But if you've played this year's FM, becomes a whole lot easier on deadline day. The system I'm going for in this first year is like the Jurgen Klopp system I released. It's been slightly edited, but it's essentially the same idea. A high pressing 4-3-3. I'm going to go to the end of this year and see how the squad does. Hey there, this percentage of people who watch the videos aren't subscribed. So if you enjoy the videos, make sure to subscribe so you know when they come out. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the video. Okay, now we have ended season 1 and we actually finished second. How the feck we've pulled that off, not a clue. Well, I do actually. Most of it was luck. If I come here and look at how we did, first of all, I just show you the Premier League. So, just the Premier League here. You can see here we had a lot of good runs. And the dynamics, they were better than this. Team cohesion struggled quite a bit this year, but club atmosphere was almost at the top. So, I mean, if I look at the XG table here, we're expected 6th. So, still expected to have quite a good season. But we got 2nd. So, it was quite an overperformance to get here. Now, the FA Cup, we got knocked out in the 5th round, and in the Carabao Cup we got knocked out in the quarterfinals. Both cups knocked out by Nottingham Forest. I was a bit annoyed by this quarterfinal defeat to Nottingham Forest. It was on penalties, but you know what, not really much you can do. We did do a bit of business in the January window, so from here to here. First of all, we got Mark Rocker in on loan with a mandatory buy at about 3.8 million plus the 400k we paid to loan him, for about 3.8 million plus about 400k to loan him. And if you look here, Mark Rocker, a pretty technically adept DM / central mid. The work rate and stamina means he can also play that box-to-box role. Pretty good midfielder. Next up, we brought a very similar player in for only 1.1 million, Talizo. It was only 1.1 million because I signed the pre-contract, and then we had the option to just buy now at 1.1 million. So I did. Now, he hasn't been fit for a lot of the season. He's missed a lot of games. But I think this is, again, another good pickup. Just a good central midfielder. Can play DM, can play attacking mid. Good player. Next up, we got Melia, who, very young, very talented keeper. And he was 25 million, which I think is quite cheap for Melia. And if we look at his history here, he's playing a 6.8 for Leeds. Played a 7.2 for us. I don't know what changed between the transfer. Next up, probably our worst signing in terms of value. But Tsimikas, what, 25 million I think I paid? But like, I've had Tsimikas a few times this year on FM. I just quite like him. I don't know. I mean, like, if we look at the average rating here, a 7.2. He's at least played well. Next up, 2.8 million, Sergio Roberto. Now, this is probably our best transfer. The only issue is the high wages. But outside of that, a brilliant player. Was actually playing for Barcelona. So I don't know why they didn't re-sign him. Maybe just the high wages for what he is. But 2.8 million, I'm happy with that. And the final signing, like 400k, Matthias Orazio. Now, great value. The issue is I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to get him a work permit. But I think at least I'm going to be able to resell him at some point. Quite a good striker. Decent bit of potential. He's playing out in the second professional, which I guess is the second league in Uruguay. And he's playing very well in it. We loaned him back to River Plate because, I mean, no shot he's getting a work permit here. Now for the outs. If I just highlight them. Here they are. First of all, John McGinn left for 35 million. Now, I like John McGinn. Good centre mid. Don't know if he was 35 million good. Newcastle reckons he were. So they paid that much for him. Like, he was averaging a 6.8 for us. It's not like he was having a great season either. But Newcastle got that Newcastle money. Next up, loan for Kieran Davies. Wasn't playing for us. Probably going to be sold or just released soon. Next up, Patrick Zito. Not even sure who this guy is. We sold him to Hull. Then, obviously, you saw we brought in Melia. So you probably already guessed, we sold Emiliano Martinez. 55 million. Now, if we compare Martinez to Melia, they are basically the same goalkeeper. And Melia is a lot younger. So, I mean, to make 30 million doing these transfers, I'm not too mad. Next up, some loan out. Then another transfer I didn't really know about. Then finally, we got 4 million for Ben Christine. I'm dyslexic. Like a fairly talented youngster, if I look here. 3.5, or 3 and then like 4 stars potential. 3 actual stars, 1 like silver star, so maybe. But I think 4 million was mental. He has played 1 professional game in his career. And he's gone for 1.5 million, then for 4 million. I didn't really get it. And then we loaned out Arezzo. Let me just show you who the best players were this year. Tsimikas had the best average rating. Then Mings, who got 6 goals. And Tsimikas got 5 assists in 11 games. Then Konza, who was just a good centre-back. Then Melia. He had a few very good games. Emi Buendia, who actually played like off the right wing because we didn't have like an attacking mid and was very good at doing it. 14 assists and 8 goals for the season. Productive year for him. Alex Tuanzebe, who was in on loan. Not going to like pursue his purchase. Maybe try and loan him in again. But I think when I've approached already, yeah, they're looking to give him a first team chance. So I think they're going to want like a big loan fee or like a mandatory buy or something. So probably not. Leon Bailey, pretty good. Danny Ings, our top scorer for the year, 17 goals and 8 assists. He was tied with Ollie Watkins with that top scorer. He also got 17 goals but 0 assists. But Ollie Watkins mainly played off that left wing and only got to play up front when Ings wasn't playing. Sergio Roberto played well and he played for us. Matty Cash and Douglas Luiz also played well. Douglas Luiz actually got 10 assists just from centre mid, which I think is pretty impressive. Anyway, that is all for this first year. Hopefully, the second year is as good, if not better. Okay, so I've done my transfers for the second year, and you can probably already see 1 new face. Now, I think I've done pretty well in this transfer window. Now, I have to start the transfers from the year before, because if you make them so early, they don't carry over into the next year. I don't know. But the first 2 signings, Ben Godfrey and Richarlison, because Everton are in the Championship. They got relegated last year. God knows how with the squad they have, but it did mean Richarlison and Ben Godfrey were fairly cheap pickups. Also tried to get in Dominic Calvert-Lewin for about 25 million, but he went to Arsenal instead. I guess we haven't got that reputation boost to like bring him here. And then for sales, were there any sales? Oh yeah, the sales were Richarlison. If you look here, there was a player exchange, which is Jed Steer. And if you look here, Jed Steer left on a player exchange. I don't know why Everton wanted him. Like, I didn't put that in. Everton put that into the deal, and I was like, sure, you can have him. Anyway, moving on from that, the transfers we did this year look like so. Mark Rocker, which was already agreed. Julian Alvarez for 7.5 million. Came up on a scout report. Looks very good for 7.5 million. One of these ones, well, like, if you're buying from a league like the Argentinian Premier League or Premier Division, the players are going to be cheaper. So 7.5 million for what is probably our starting striker. So far I've been starting him over Ings and Ollie Watkins, but I don't know, whole season of football to play. Let's see if that stays like that. Then I brought in James Ward-Prowse for 64 million, which is probably more than he's really worth. I just think having 20 corners and 20 free kicks is really valuable. The rest of his game's okay. He's got decent passing, really good work rate and stamina. Probably not the 60 million we paid for him, but just 20 set pieces is lovely. He's what he's probably going to be in the team for the rest of this rebuild. And then that was really the transfers done for me. And the next three were just like making sure we had enough depth in the squad. And to start that off, Lookman in for 6 and a bit million, 7 million after he plays so many games. Yeah, he can play all of the front three positions. He's fairly good at all of them. Yeah, I just wanted another option there. If you look at history here, he's a loan at Leicester. He's fairly decent. So yeah, I just brought him in. Then I brought in Joachim Anderson. I always thought it was Joachim Anderson. Apparently it's Joachim, or I might still be getting it wrong. I'm not 100%, but only 5 and a bit million because I think Palace did go down. Yeah, Palace went down, but I didn't have 4 centre-backs at the club, and he is like good enough to be the 4th centre-back, so I just brought him in. And then Jesse Lingard on loan, a 2.5 million loan fee, plus I think I'm covering all his wages. Yeah, I'm covering all his wages. Would have liked to bring him in on a free, but he re-signed with Man United. Can play all the positions behind the striker. Can technically play centre mid. Don't know if I'm going to see him there, but yeah, a fairly good player. Now for the outs. How many players did I sell? 18 players. I'm only going to go through the ones I actually sold for money, which is a lot less players. So Marvelous Nakamba was already agreed. Then I sold Morgan Sanson. Didn't really feature too much for me. It's like an alright centre mid, but like, he's got squad player at Sheffield United. He's not going to be good enough for us. Then I finally sold Trezeguet. He starts the game with like a 6-month injury because obviously he had that in real life. So you can't sell him in the first window. Then it gets to January and he's not played any games. So he's not worth anything. And then this is the first window where I feel like you can sell him. Then I sold Wesley. He was out on loan for the first year, but I sold him for 10 million. Just not really my kind of striker. Like, he's not a good finisher. Not really good at much here. But yeah, not really my striker. And then finally, I sold Bertrand Traore. Tried to sell him last year, wasn't able to. Finally did for 15 million. Because if you look here, he made 12 appearances in the league for us. 10 were off the bench. Then in the released players, I think the only big one here is Ashley Young. But I mean, he's now 37, so I can't say it's that big of a surprise. But if you look here, it was pretty good when he actually played for us. Also, I've switched to a 4-2-3-1. Oh yeah, and I had a nightmare registering for the Champions League. I can only register 21 players. I don't have any players who trained at Aston Villa for 3 years between 15 and 21. Who outside of Jack Grealish is there that fits that criteria and is also good? It's too late now. It wouldn't really help, but I don't know who I could have done. Anyway, let's see how this squad gets on. Okay, we've come to the end of this year, and maybe proving the first year second place was a bit of luck. We only got 5th this year, which isn't as bad as it sounds, because if I go to competitions here, we won the Champions League. No, we didn't win the Champions League, the Europa League, so sorry. Obviously, we were in the Champions League. We got a group with Milan and Dortmund. I'll be honest, being a 4th seed team kind of sucks, because it means you're pretty much guaranteed to have 2 decent teams at least in your group. Like, this is probably the best group we could have got, but it still leaves us with 2 teams who are also good, and Shakhtar. But I think going in through winning the Europa League means you're a higher seed. I'm fairly sure. So hopefully next year we're a 1st or 2nd seed team and we only have one other good team. But yeah, it does mean Champions League football and probably a reputation boost because we actually won a trophy. The FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, not very good. I did do a tiny bit of January business. First up, Anthony Martial on loan. No loan fee, just paying his wages. Also had an option to buy at 25 million. Probably not going to do that because he wasn't brilliant for us. Don't really know what it is about Martial. He looks really good in his stats and stuff, but I've had him a few times already this year and I've never really got him going. Although just looking at his stats, it seems like he should be at least pretty decent. Yeah, just not being able to figure him out. And then next we got Tyreke Mitchu in for about, was it 5 million? And I'll show you why that was. If you look here, we sold Matthew Target for 13 million. He just became unhappy at the club, so I needed another backup left back. Tyreke Mitchell is that, so bada bing, bada boom. Also, it means he's still homegrown. And then I loaned out a Rezo, still can't get a work permit. I am now just trying to sell him, but hopefully a year in the Bundesliga, which, I mean, he didn't play an awful lot, only 5 starter, but hopefully that does mean he's more sellable, although that looks like a worse year to me. Who knows? But yeah, looking at our schedule, I want to just show you our Europa League run, because it wasn't actually the easiest of Europa League runs. I didn't think we were going to do it. First up, the first 2 knockout rounds, they're not 2 legs, because this game here, we go into extra time. You see here, the E is like 2-2. They'd scored in the 94th minute. I was like, oh, damn, that's annoying. Would have liked to have won the, like, our away leg, but we still have the home leg. Nah, we just keep playing football. Then we go and play, was it Sporting? And this time I know it's only 1 leg. Then for PSG, it already has the 2 on the calendar, so I know it's 2 legs. And PSG, I don't know why they're not good. Because if I go look here, like, we were better than them in this game, like, not by a lot. Maybe it's because if you look at what they play here, it's like quite an unbalanced team. Like Messi in centre mid, but then he has Rice and Wijnaldum next to him. And then Marquinhos at right back's a bit odd, but PSG should beat us. But in both games, they were worse than us, so I don't really get that. Then Napoli, we pretty much beat them in the first leg. And then we went on to face Lazio, it was 0-0, and we beat on penalties. If you look here straight up, we were worse than Lazio. If you look here, 3 XG for them, 1 for us, but no one could score, and then we beat them on penalties. Look at that, a 9 by Melia. But I don't get how Lazio were better than PSG. It's an odd game, isn't it? Now, for the best players this year, Mings was our best player. 4 goals, 3 assists, pretty decent. Knocking it on from those set pieces. Next up's Tyreke Mitchell, who played, he had 11 starts, so he had a decent amount of game time, got 5 assists in that. Pretty good. Next up, Godfrey, only 1 goal off the set pieces, but just a very solid centre-back. Played a little bit of right-back, and not really at all at DM, because we switched to that 4-2-3-1. But yeah, Godfrey, I had him in the Everton rebuild, very good player. Simicas, again, killing it. Melia, good keeper, played 56 games. I don't think he missed 1. Konza was good. Ward-Prowse played 50 games, which I think is like the most out of any outfield player. Yeah, I'm looking at, yeah, it is. I mean, he's resting now. But yeah, 14 assists for Ward-Prowse, knocking in all those set pieces. Joachim Anderson actually played a lot more than I thought he would, considering he was just a 4th choice centre-back. Sergio Roberto, 11 assists. I don't know how he's done that. And then Richarlison, the last player to get a 7. His form was kind of on and off, but when he was on, he was on. And I mean, what was it? Like, yeah, 60 million plus Jed Steer. I think that was worth it. Okay, I'm going to now do the transfer window for this next year. Hopefully we can bring in better players. Who knows? Also, someone I didn't mention, just before we go and do those transfers, is because he doesn't come up if you sort by rating. Julian Alvarez got 20 goals for us. So for the 7 million we paid, worth it. Million times over. Now I'll go and do the transfers. Okay, another summer of business has been done. And this is probably the best quality of player we've brought in. Now let me go back to last year. The first signing we did, Luis Diaz. If you look here, very good winger. Quite quick. And a brilliant dribbler. Then for sales, we sold Mark Rocker for 7.5 million. We look here, we brought him in for about what? Yeah, we brought him in for about 4 if you include the loan fee. He played a bit for us. He was a decent centre mid, and then we just turned a small profit on him. And then we sold this youngster, who again, like, decent potential, not great, for 6 million. So, like, look at, like, the 2 loan spells he's had. He hasn't been brilliant, but sure. Then our other signings, Max Aarons, for what was it? It was 30 million. I mean, classic FM signing, Max Aarons. He's actually declining for us, which is a bit worrying. Then I got Ferland Mendy. Why does he always go to City? And then you think it's the other Mendy. Why FM? Probably a bit more than I would have wanted to pay for him, but that pace, the work rate, I love that in a left back. Then the rest of these are kind of just getting bodies in. Drielski, we needed a backup keeper, and for a backup keeper, he's very good. Only 4 million. The board got angry at me because we paid too much. Like, he's a decent Serie A keeper. Only 4 million for a back. Like, he's fine. What? Then it got to deadline day. I just about got the money up to sign Christian Romero. And I'd like delayed the transfer a few times. And it didn't have the option to, like, for them to send me the confirmation. So then I, like, cancel the transfer, try and redo it. And then Christian Romero doesn't want to talk to me anymore. So I panic. And then I just loan in 3 players instead. First up, Luis Felipe. We're not paying a loan fee on this. Pretty decent. A good centre-back. Not Christian Romero, but, you know, it's going to be lovely to have around the squad. Then I loaned in Pereira. Big, strong midfielder. Going to play that ball-winning midfielder spot. 4 million loan fee, which is a bit, but another good player. And then finally we loaned in Luka Jovic. No loan fee again on this one, and just a good striker, can also play attacking mid. Very happy to bring him in. And I'm questioning, is these 3 loans better than Christian Romero? Moving on to the sales, I'll just go again through the ones which made money. First up, Lewis Barry. He had a good year in the championship, 11 goals, out on loan. Obviously not good enough for our squad, so I sold him on for the 5 million we could get. Next up, I clicked on a Rezo. We sold a Rezo for 12 and a bit million. Could never get a work permit, but a pretty good deal in the end. What was meant to be next up was Adnan Januzaj, who was a bit of a flop, to be honest. 5 million, and he averaged a 6.99 in his first year, but he would play like either an 8 or a 6 flat. He was either, like, he didn't have inconsistency in his reports either, but I think he does have it, and he only played 1 game for us here this year. So it's like, yeah, nah, it was time was over. Then Ollie Watkins we sold for 20 million. Because, I mean, he just stopped really playing for us. Good player, but it's just, look, 1 goal in the Prem last year. He's a striker. I want more than 1 goal from his striker. Then Danny Ings as well. We got a 25 million offer from Man United. And he only had like a year left on his contract. He's 31. And he only got 9 goals last year. I was like, yeah, I kind of have to take that. And then finally, the reason we got in Mendy, Tsimikas. We managed to sell him for 43 million. The one player who I'd kind of worried about spending too much on, we turned a profit on, and quite a big one at that. Not exactly what Olympiacos did, bring him in for 16k and selling him for 11 million, but still pretty decent. The Stars, actually I think he's gone down, but the Stars actually had him at 3.5 and Mendy at 3. So the Stars reckoned he was better, but I think Mendy is honestly better. Just having like 16 pace, 17 acceleration. But that is the squad for this year. Let's see how they get on. Okay, so normally I'd bring you right to the end of the year and show you how we're doing. I've not done that because if you look here, we have 1 more game to play in the Premier League and it could win us the Premier League title. We're 1 point off Man United. Both have 1 more game to play. But then we also have the Champions League final. So we have 2 games, which I'm going to show you both, to complete the rebuild. Also, we won the Carabao Cup this year. Not really the biggest deal. And now for transfers, someone I didn't tell you about, Solomon. We had agreed a free transfer for him. And his league ended in January, or at least his contract did. So that's when it happened. And then in January, we also sold Lookman. Okay, I've picked my team for today. I'm not really worried about winning or like... I think I'm going to win this game because it's against West Brom. The thing that matters is what happens in the Man United game. Okay, oh, Richarlison already injured. I think I just bring Solomon on. Yeah. Yeah, that's... Okay, yeah, no. It's not that complicated. That is a bit of a blow for the Champions League final because I think he would have started that game. Decent attacker, Jovic. Godfrey, what a strike by Godfrey. His 7th of the season, not been playing right back. Obviously, that's been Max Aaron's position. He's got most of those, heading them in off corners. And that puts us top right now. It must still be 0-0 in Man United's game because we're still top of the league. We go close again. Jesus Christ. Yeah, red card. Bro, what the feck was that? Okay, 10 men West Brom. We should win this now. Oh, and look, they've just gone 1 up. You can see, yeah, that puts us second now. Oh, it's 3-0 now in the Man United game. Okay, I think we're going to have to do it in the Champions League if we want to end the rebuild this year. And a 3-1 win. Dressing room, very happy. I don't really sound very happy, do I? But now we have Bayern Munich in the final. And Bayern Munich have a pretty good team. If you look here, they've signed Mbappe. And have they signed anyone else? I kind of just knew they'd signed Mbappe. That actually doesn't look as terrifying. Oh, Frankie de Jong. Okay, it might be a pretty good team. Okay, so this is pretty close to the 11 I'd always play. The main thing we don't have is Emi Buendia. Because he was injured, so he's not match sharp. Oh, that's not where I wanted him. You look here, he has that link with Alvarez, but he's not ready to go today. So this is the team I've picked for today. Hopefully they're good enough to get it done. Okay, Lewandowski, Mbappe, Sane, de Jong. Okay, it's a pretty good team. Neuer, Kim. Yeah, no, okay. Mendy, can he get in a good position to cross it in? No, he passes it to Diaz instead, who crosses it to Bailey at the back post. Okay, that is the best chance of this game. It's the only chance we've seen, but therefore it's the best one. It seems a bit like one-way traffic, but that said, we win the ball back. Jovic now plays it in, and we're knocking it about. Ward-Prowse. Oh, he's got a very good long shot on him. I think 16 on 17 is his actual stat for it. Oh no. Corner for Bayern Munich. 1-0 Bayern Munich. Knocking it about now. Mendy gets past his man. Whips it in, and Bailey at the back post. Fucking come on. But look at us, we're just knocking it about in this corner. Mendy goes past his man, puts the ball in. Keeper Neuer's flapped it. Done a bit of a Superman. I don't mind. Look at us knock it about. Melia into Godfrey, into Ward-Prowse, who finds Mendy on this left-hand side. Mendy to put in the ball. He squares it back to Diaz, who scores. And Aston Villa are leading. Oh my god, it might actually happen. Now, the 94th minute. Still the 94th minute. Ref, blow. Come on. Come on. Come on. Please. Oh, there we go. That's a foul. End of game. Yep, that yellow card. There you go. End of game. Why are we still going? Why are we still going? We've scored. That's not off. Never in a million years is that off. I think we've won the Champions League final either way. But yeah, of course that's not off. He's like well behind his man. And we've won the Champions League. So that'll be hit for this rebuild.